Yeah.
It hasn't even started yet, but I am ready. These teams are going to ignite the stage, and we're going to get a great matchup. Obviously, H2K wants to run into these fights. It's up to INTZ now to pick up the vision from last game, get themselves an eye on the prize and how to avoid that engage, and then tackle H2K.
Yeah, and H2K, they want to lock in that first seed for themselves. If they win, they will play at least a tiebreaker for it. If they lose, they will at least play a tiebreaker for second. But this is also a big match for INTZ because it is their last game of Worlds.
About to be on the rift. The players poised and ready as they make their way out of the base. Popping out the flares. It won't be the last time. These guys enjoy doing that on their kills and hopefully not being killed. We'll see how they start off the Aurelion Sol in the early game. We saw some cheeky plays from CLG, but nobody's really done that since now it's on the open.
Yeah, we've seen the level 1 solo queue inspired Huhi room where he lost to it once and noticed that it was a fantastic idea. It was, of course, successful. And Aurelion Sol in particular is quite unique in what he can actually do.
Fits in the line with everybody choosing what you got beat by.
Exactly right.
Macau, a little sticky situation, but he walks himself right out of there, walking through the river. Wet socks. It's all right.
Oh, this is the worst.
Absolutely is. But absolutely.
Speaking of wet socks, H2K come slinking through.
You can hear it.
Be a wet blanket.
You hear him coming through. It's all sloshy. Looks like Talker's got pushed out of his own jungle, but says, hey, you're going to be warded out, so careful on your roaming, or if you come out to lane, they will be on you. Also got Baker, Olaf. I like it.
Throwing them meat cleavers.
Yep. Got the meat pounder and a big T-bone steak.
Yeah, so we look towards how INTZ are going to play this early game. Just to reiterate the fact we need Revolta to make some big plays. He's on the champion to do it, and they want to try and actually get some tempo advantages in the jungle as Jocksters.
Oh, that's really good.
Really hurting him.
Yeah.
Woo. So he paid off the blue buff to do a little damage there. Really nice cosmic binding.
Yep, go
Still
back.
going to give him a little bit of hell here. This might allow Macau to fire some damage over. Forgiven's not just farming those waves too quickly. So Jankos grabs blue. Wasn't really that deterred on it.
Oh.
But good warding here. INTZ actually starts off the vision much earlier this game.
Yeah, kicking off the red buff also, so the immediate rotation again. Aurelion Sol's wave clear is fantastic. He can control the middle lane, gives this space to Revolta, so we'll have to see what Jankos does.
This is actually a combined effort from the whole team here because Jockster slowed down Jankos a little bit because he had to walk towards the bush. It's just a game with kind of a little bit of seconds there, and that's all that mattered, and that's what allows him to get away there.
The important thing as well is that they get it and get out. They don't actually fight for anything. Yang's not exactly in a position in his lane to be able to contest anything, so they want this to be a one-on-one affair.
But Volta's trying to make this really hard. Going to catch two, three.
This is more day one Revolta that we saw from INTZ. Coming through strong.
He's got the red buff too.
Trying to be in the face of opponent. He stole it. You can see the Raptor Camp buff on him. And as you said, Rusty, pushed up. Ryu can't even help him.
That's right. It is going to be the one-on-one affair that Revolta is looking for. This is interesting.
Oh my!
My God, they do not like Jankos.
Oh, they're trying to keep Jankos down because he was such a big part of last game for H2K. Despite Odawame getting a lot of solo kills in the top lane for himself, it was a lot of Jankos during that mid game that set them up. And on this Olaf can do one thing as a champion, and that's run straight at you.
Yeah.
When he's behind, he really doesn't have a good pattern to play into, and he's kind of fodder at that point.
And the beauty behind this as well is it's an Alistar Sivir lane. They have no real impact. The best they can do is perhaps wave clear if Forgiven gets control, but the Alistar has none. So Jockster invades at level 1, knows that Vander can't do anything unless he wastes the flash, then continues to go around the map and roam. Acts like he's perhaps going for chimes, but really he's finding the Olaf.
And these standard lanes as well, it's not going to be Revolta losing his red either. 3 buff for him. He's going to go down and be a very happy camper.
That's great. Jockster, it's a team effort when you're jungling, goes and checks it just in case because they didn't have enough vision control to know what exactly Olaf was doing. He went for the Gromp, and now they see him on that wolf camp with that ward that was placed earlier.
This is entirely about the Olaf. Yeah, there's nothing else that INTZ are looking for. They want Talkers to be able to rotate, perhaps control mid and roam, but it feels like all of that is coming down to placing vision in the enemy jungle whenever he disappears so that they can get Revolta to make plays. Speaking of.
Jankos not having a good day, feeling pressure, or at least vision everywhere he goes. That vision of him being seen is pressure to Jankos.
They're going to go back.
Raptors are up, they're contested.
Yep.
This is ridiculous.
Oh, caught Ryu with one double.
This is going to really push Ryu out of lane. Exactly what they wanted. They're causing chaos with only a slight bit of play. And now they can just go ahead and do it over and over again. Summoners down on both Ghosts and a Flash.
Well, they actually got all the summoner spells from H2K that were involved, and they didn't have to blow any themselves.
Yeah.
INTZ gets in a very effective trade, and they get the camp on top.
It's almost like when Ryu's not right, it's easier to play against them.
I think you're onto something there.
Well, this though, Jankos, he's been down this entire game, has a lot of pressure on him, but INTZ have pushed up.
You get that mental game where you feel like everything around the map is winning, so you can push up a little bit more, but very fancy feet from the bot lane of INTZ, and they get out of Jankos' first gank, which he almost needed to succeed there.
So Macau still has heal, Joxer still has flash. It was a bit of miscommunication from both sides there, honestly. I don't think Vander wanted the Ezreal because he can dodge your combo and actually get out alive. Absolutely. There was also a more fragile Bard running away. But the decision to do that means that Jankos gets really low, and on the flip side, Joxer doesn't tell Macau that there is a free kill now running towards him, and so the Q's too late. He flashes to safety, and nothing actually happens.
But still, INTZ, you can see up 500 gold because of what's been going on. The mid lane push, Ryu having to back for that tier.
Ooh, smited it. That was
The
Jankos.
TP though, level 6.
Ultimate goes down, Revolta looks like he's in a bad spot. Repel won't even get him anywhere he wants to be, and that's actually first kill over to Vander with the 3 assists.
Yeah, pounds the ground there. The Alistar doesn't waste his Ignite, but still manages to get the kill because that's just what support seem to be doing at the moment in Worlds. Very good play, though. Good collapse and teleport from Odawame.
Yeah, it was actually very bad from INTZ to have Revolta there. He got a little bit carried away with the fact that he wants to keep Jankos down because Talkers had just backed. Talkers was in base. You don't have your mid laner shoving up, and you know that even the enemy mid laner at that point is a little bit closer. You can see here, Aurelion Sol in base. Revolta should not be past the river at that point, even if he has Jockster to help him.
He also uses his flash super early to dodge the W out of Ryu, but Ryu's level 5 is Cassiopeia. You save your flash in that situation, use the wall to your advantage, and if you blow the Rumble ultimate, then flash out of it, perhaps over the wall. Maybe you get to safety in that situation, but the brazenness with which he throws his spells to try and survive was a little bit too much, and yeah, overzealous in his advances.
It's actually Odawame just hitting 6 before that teleport, so you can see INTZ was feeling good. Nobody's ever countering us, nothing's happening until they hit level 6 and we weren't paying attention to that. So they do kind of get the better of themselves. It's like Talker's pushing up the lane, they still have the pressure on H2K, and Jankos still trying to, no, I shouldn't say still trying to get back in. 25 to 23, it's just the buffs he didn't get in the early game that slowed him down a bit.
Yeah, it just felt like the pressure that was there to stop ganks was all they really achieved.
Didn't let it fluster him.
Exactly. He's still going to be strong, still going to be able to do a lot of work, but just didn't get those early ganks.
Yeah, I didn't get the opportunity to do so, but Olaf is just such a hard farmer. They were trying to take away his camps after that point. Talkers, it's actually interesting, didn't go for something like a Catalyst first to start working towards a GLP. Goes straight for the Spectre's Cowl to make sure that he can survive a little bit longer against Ryu, and will most likely turn into a Banshee's Veil.
I guess the interesting thing is that he's actively choosing resistances, means he just does not want to die. He may not have pressure to kill Ryu now, but he still has enough pressure to control the minion waves, and just wants to survive himself.
Yeah, and it's an Aurelion Sol build that I've seen a few times, but you usually see them go for at least one damage item first. It's a great second buy or third buy because all Aurelion Sol needs to care about is just staying alive and staying present and in a fight. The longer he's alive, the longer he's just going to be dishing out damage from existing.
Yang has to play this very safe. That communication from Ryu to say, hey, Talkers is grabbing blue, might just activate this top lane, but Yang keeping the minions very close to the turret, keeping himself in safety. No trouble there.
Very patient from Jankos at the moment. He has been here for quite a while.
Oh, I don't know if Talkers wanted that one. Dodges the Noxic Blast a little bit, but still taking the Twin Fang. He gets himself out alive, and Jankos finally says, I need to pull the trigger top lane as well. It's been a little too long. We may see Jankos go mid now. Flash goes down for Talkers.
Now, kind of interesting that having the magic resistance first keeps Talkers alive. And on the flip side, Yang has the Hex Drinker, so he was never really going to die to any immediate burst. There's enough to keep himself even within the lane. Doesn't actually have to recall. Rumble's ultimate's now down. Cassiopeia's ultimate's now down. This is a good opportunity for the Elise to try and get a gank happening.
Spectral Cowl by actually went into some Swifties, so he can continuously get around the map. also not die from this AP.
Yeah, you see Swifty boots very frequently from Aurelion Souls. I actually think it's a fantastic buy, especially against a Cassiopeia that'll slow you down on the Miasma. You'll get out a little bit faster. The Olaf, only CC he has is a slow, and then the Rumble on top of it. Plus, right now, you can see he's already started his roam. He's coming over here right now.
Nice job by Vander. Talker's over the wall. They're going to throw down on the hunt. Try to turn on to Talker's. Vander throws Unbreakable Will, and Yankos throws the Ragnarok down right into the middle of the fight. It is Revolta dropping behind them, but he can't choose a target just yet. He does find the Spider, but it's going to make it. No! Goes down the spout. Talker's, Jockster, and Macau now running for their lives. Ryu, remember, flash down. No ghost yet, so they're just trying to get the slow. The CC locks him down. The last swing. Fang gets him through the magical journey.
He didn't think he had to flash there, walks up that last little thing there from Ryu, gets it, and this is going to give them a lot of pressure on this turret. This might be first turret for H2K.
Yeah, small details actually mean quite a large deal in that last fight. It was a bit messy and the turret was still standing, so INTZ choosing to dive, super risky, and speaking of, there's the teleport.
Odoamne as well, channeling his TP, so he'll be there.
Yang, you don't want to be there.
He stopped his TP, actually. The team says, we have it. It's just going to be Yang. Here comes Macau trying to get a few kills for himself. Vander gets himself to safety as well. Beautiful job by H2K, kind of getting in and out of being INTZ's priority target. No follow-up from the rest of the team. Very low mana across the board. This is up to Forgiven pretty much to auto-attack if he can. May just be able to do that, but gets locked up himself.
Oh, someone next. Who's next?
Jockster says, I'm not done. I want to give you hot cocoa.
This is pretty messy from INTZ.
Everybody's running around with such low mana, and INTZ, Yang completes his teleport, but he's in the middle of so many members, and Talker's, because of the build that he went, he doesn't have something like a Catalyst to restore his mana or give him a larger mana pool, so he's constantly running out.
There's one thing I could admire from the Brazilian side. It's the tenacity to commit to a strategy. This was the call. The call was go. Yang's committed. He does do a lot of damage, but they're just too far away on INTZ because they were stuck under the turret.
Oh my god. And Macau goes forward. He's got nothing left in the tank here. Talker is just spending that mana pool.
Volta flashes into the stun as well.
Yep, and that does, and his cocoon goes off at that time too, so he keeps Ryu there, but he doesn't get much else for it. And Jockster, he's still got to be careful though.
Jockster gets burned up a bit, but it is Odoamne that makes it out safely. Now you just said it, Rusty, it's happening still. INTZ continuously looking for the fights. They are not stopping. The pressure on H2K worked in the first few minutes of the game. H2K came back because they had breathing room, and INTZ's tried to shut that down again.
And the response has been completely measured from the European side here. They're not losing any control of the map. They're just playing it out. This is our win condition. Let's execute on it. And they are still getting more and more advantages in this game.
All right.
This might be first turret here for INTZ, and they split it between 4 members though, so it's a little bit for everybody.
Yeah. Nice message sent with the Tempered Fate to get Odoamne's flash as well. Not that he's going to need it to use Equalizer.
Of course, the decision was made for Rumble to ult the previous wave. It did take them 1 extra wave, so another 30 seconds on the back of that. Gives time for H2K to try and make some trades, and still they are answering.
Yeah, they're answering very appropriately. Sure, it's not first turret, but they get a turret in response, and they get the Infernal Drake. But up top, this might be a second turret, though. Yang pushed Odoamne off, and here comes the rest of INTZ.
It is going to be a slow rotation from Ryu. He's got the long way around to go, or he's going to have to go straight through this vision, and INTZ could turn around on him. Maybe not knowing Vander, Odoamne, and Yang goes to there. Ryu's going to have the swipe on the side. Yang will go down first, so Ryu changes his focus. That's going to also be Yankos going down. He doesn't have much farther to go. And H2K collapsed very nicely, and yes, Yang fell in the end.
You have to say one more time, to a fault from INTZ. You admire the strategy, the commitment is definitely there, but they willingly get themselves killed to get the turret. Yeah, I know. The vision was there early, and they still choose to do it.
Not too much of a gold deficit. They are behind, I should say. It's 20.8 to 22.2. Still anybody's game, but it seems like H2K is kind of reading the book that INTZ brought to the table here, seeing right through it. They say, you want to push real hard, we'll just come in behind you each time. Now it's up to INTZ to adapt here mid-game, almost 15 minutes in, 6-0, as they've yet to drop H2K on the map.
Yeah, Cocoon comes out, but it's already too late. They didn't put enough damage out on the turret, and now you have to lose 2 members at this point in time.
Yeah.
Sure, Talkers gets away, but it's still dropping 2 for that turret.
They still had 4 wards in the enemy jungle, watching them slowly make their way up. The Cassiopeia, who doesn't have boots and isn't that high of a level, doesn't exactly sprint at you until she gets there and pops the ghost. So they did it again.
Yeah, and you're talking about sprinting. This composition from H2K, they have the Sivir, and Olaf rushes Righteous Glory here from Jankos. They just want to move faster. They want to initiate and get in on this team composition of INTZ and obliterate them.
Such a perfect buy. A helmet with your helmet. It's exactly what you need to go faster. That 2K gold lead, not really shrinking, but it's not getting any bigger within these last few fights. A nice hammer back as Yang thought he had that fight 1v1, but he says Revolt is here, and now it's for the junglers to duke this out. Yanko looking very healthy, and he's just going to keep those undertows coming to take down Revolta.
Tempered Fate.
It's very, very close. He may just try to walk in and get the slowdown, and then the fight heals him up as well with the hot cocoa, and that's going to make anybody feel good.
Yeah, patient play, of course, from Revolta. Unfortunately, H2K are already responding, so the strategy's still there, and they are trying to outthink INTZ, who are trying to create chaos themselves, and it's almost working.
The few times in Worlds we've seen somebody just run in circles until they get somebody else to come.
It's always Elise.
It's always Elise.
Absolutely fantastic. So H2K now somewhat towards the top side to make sure this isn't a wave that'll get pushed too hard. Almost grabbing Boxers with the miasma.
Kind of makes sense that you can't be grounded when you're already flying.
Isn't the whole point? Ground them? But
see this bot lane once more.
He's on a different axis as well, so he looks like he's above it, but he's really not.
A lot of damage from Yang. Of course, the Flash gets himself killed in the end, but a lot of damage knowing Revolt is here. Both players from the top lane are communicating to one another of their own team, saying that the jungler's coming to help. They're both effectively baiting reactively to how the play starts, and it just works out better in the end for INTZ.
Yeah, really great from Revolta there. He had a red buff, so he throws one of those auto attacks from Elise, the range form, to slow him down, dodges the next axe that's incoming, and waits for Jockster to get in there.
The biggest thing you have to remember is INTZ did it first, so they're always going to get there first, and that is why Jockster is able to react.
Looking for a little bit of that objective control. H2K's team is made primarily around that, so they'll set up vision on the dragon. Next one's Cloud Drake. They already have an Infernal to their name. Looks like they'll be poised to get this with a few pink wards pushed up to the river. Revolta clearing his jungle out, 67 to 65 as the jungle matchup stays pretty even. And there's only a bit of a lead in mid. The real lead, Yang, actually over Odo Omne from clearing the waves that have been coming in.
Exactly, and then in that bottom lane, Macau quite far behind Forgiven now, 30 CS, but the other thing to note is that usually Ezreal's your first back is a tier plus a cull. He neglected the cull, Forgiven did not. So in 34 CS, Forgiven is about to actually have a large boom in gold over Macau.
A bit of a trade now. Vision not necessarily all that near the Drake. A lot of top focus actually from both of these teams. Speaking of top focus, whoopsies.
Stun on stun. Almost got the slow there as well. Vander's in, and Jankos is actually looking to route the backside of this engagement. He will be seen by Jockster. They should be able to slow him down and deter this entire thing. I don't know if they'll be able to save it in the end. Too much team pressure. Get it! He makes his way out.
Barely living, but more of H2K is here, so naturally they have to concede the turret going down. So once again, strong macro plays. They're moving to the right areas. Even if the Brazilian side are ready for it, they seem to just have more of an answer and always get the better end result.
Yeah, they'd have to do something mid right now and actually pick up Forgiven. It's not going to happen. They're just going to be able to shove this wave in. Vander's going to roam from the top side of the map. 30 seconds on that Cloud Drake, and this is actually a well-timed back from Ryu because he'll pick himself up a little bit of defensive stats with that Giant's belt.
Revolta
didn't even sweep the ward, just walked by it.
Giving a ping to Yang. Yeah, he was just looking to deny the vision on it. Says, I don't need to clear it. Then Odo Omne plays it very smart, gets himself out. Has that Haunting guys looking to build up his guard, Seeker's Guard. And H2K still saved that mid turret. There was actually no pressure coming in after we saw Macau pushing out Forgiven on that. It was Vander to come mid lane. So H2K is doing a very good job at getting what they need and then getting back into position to stop INTZ.
Exactly. Well-timed push on the top lane so they can be down at the Drake when it counts the most. They will get the objective uncontested for themselves also. Strong moves once again from H2K. Feels like they've been ramping up today as the games went on. And this is a good form side that shows up in the second week.
In this game, though, they haven't had the same type of lane dominance. Granted, some of these lanes are actually losing lanes for them, but Forgiven is actually a big shining light for them, and this is a time that he's wanted for a very long time. He's wanted to be at Worlds and prove himself because he's always talked the talk, and everybody's like, well, you can't walk the walk, and he's showing that he can. If he makes quarterfinals, that is a big statement for this player in his career.
Pushed off onto Sivir this game. It'll really test what he can help do for the team in a utility role, as well as what we see on his Lucian, his Caitlyn, and his other really high priority champions. 20 minutes into this game, INTZ has made it on the board with a few kills at 7-2 and 3-3 in turrets now. So equaling out a bit of that objective gold around the map. It's been H2K who's been grabbing the Drakes, and INTZ have pretty much had to give those over.
It feels like we're in a similar position this game to the last. However, this is the point where INTZ started to implode a little bit. Feels like the pressure's still there.
They're chasing, but here comes the rest of INTZ. This is actually a trap.
Nice dodge.
Backing out, that's going to be Yang coming in on the top, but Yang goes the other way, trying to find a kill. Shock Blast already to start off, does get some damage onto Ryu. A little bit extra, but he's going to be kind of stuck, has to back in that spot, and H2K is not going to let them out easy.
Yeah, INTZ, they were laying a trap there. They were trying to bait in H2K. H2K took the bait, but I don't think they were expecting the Righteous Glory and the speed that came out and the fact that they were running them down. Speaking of running them down.
Does he have Righteous Glory?
Gotta go
No,
fast.
he doesn't. It's on cooldown right now, I believe.
Hit him with the meat. That slows him down. Now it's the meat grinder, and they're going to go ahead and hit Macau. It's Vander that's there as well. Like we said, recuperating from an engage, from an attack in their jungle, they're always getting something in their favor on the flip side.
And again, almost deja vu in terms of time in the game. Another implosion from INTZ. They tried to do a strategy, and they're looking for Vander.
Vander puts himself right in the fire, so low, but actually gives himself an out. Jockster now just getting missed by the undertow. A twin fang, one more to get it. Dodges the Noxious Blast.
What are you doing?
Goes down. I think he just wanted to give it to the Wolf. Maybe he's like, stop the assists. Stop the assists. So
What a disaster.
Jockster goes down, Flash is over, and H2K is all over INTZ's moves.
Again, trying to fight, not setting up for the fights appropriately, just going. It does sometimes work. We saw this through proper setup in the early game where INTZ were doing well, but they hit mid-game, they hit towards their strides with items, and they're just being completely run over every time they start something off.
I was looking back at it because I wanted to know why he fed himself to the Wolves. He had 3 seconds left on Magical Journey, so
I think he could have made
he
it.
accepted it.
I still think, we will see it, I still think he could have just like hid towards the wall, at least forced Ryu to come towards him.
There's actually a heal there from Forgiven to keep Vander very healthy. And then Ryu is just so speedy right now. Jockster flashes in, doesn't have Magical Journey.
He totally could have
Yeah,
lived.
he probably could have walked down towards the south side and then thrown out the E.
I think he should have just sat there and pretend to be a wolf. But that's me. 10-2 on the board. Cloud Drake is up next. They seem to all be H2K, so I don't know if which one comes next matters at this point. Holy macaroni! Jockster doesn't even get through his portal. Yankos was going so fast he couldn't even put on the brakes. So it's going to be a Tempered Fate to come out of this. There are Ignites to be used by the supports, actually just Jockster's, but he's down, so no Ignite there. And they are going on the first inhibitor turret down mid lane, straight up the gut on INTZ.
Waiting on the other side was Yankos for the Bard. Had no choice but to go through that journey. A lot of damage now put onto this middle lane turret, but the safe play from H2K now is being taken.
And H2K Vander on this Alistar. This has been a champion that is so popular right now in week 2 of Worlds because of the playmaking potential. And you think it's going to get taken so early on in the draft. And right now, H2K, they're like, yeah, you didn't take it first pick with a whole bunch of junglers up. Complete punish here.
As well, H2K knowing their limits and knowing that they have a lot of money in the bank. Gonna go ahead and spend this. Ryu still looking good on the cast, has had these Rise games, but then switches right back and still performing for the team as well from the mid lane.
Yeah, it feels like a reinvigorated side whenever Ryu's actually performing well. Hasn't had the best year in the EU LCS, but has shown up huge, at least today. Even in the last week at Worlds, has been performing decently well, so good stuff.
Hey man, he wants his chance against Faker again.
That's true.
Zed's not meta, he's got it, let's go.
Maybe for that one game. Maybe that one game. So H2K cleaning up the resources, so INTZ cannot. It doesn't look like there's too many forward wards here that can be used. A lot of them will replace for that last engager on the Magical Journey. You can see down just off the left side of mid. So H2K clearing waves just past river, and we'll probably see that ward line move up as well.
Yeah, that's right. The Baron dance will start out. We have to put our eyes towards INTZ, honestly, and how they actually contest this. H2K are slow in the way they set up for it. They just want to control vision, maybe force you in, use the Olaf and engage onto you. Of course, the Alice are also quite good at that. Cassiopeia very good when you're going towards her. So there's a lot of opportunities for H2K to bait, and it's almost predictable. But speaking of,
Righteous engagement. They're on a Jocksters. That's the tempered fate that's been slowing them down on all their engages. Now they can go after the targets they want without being stopped.
that was pretty smooth.
But making their targets blow flash and a lot just to get out of the fight. This gives H2K a very nice position here wherever they want.
You have to give a lot of credit to Revolta for even getting out alive in that situation. That was actually pretty clean from the Elise.
They can run fast, but they can't run through walls. So, Bell's over. Use the bell. Oh, nah, you didn't have to go back.
Unfortunately, he did. They have no vision, no way to actually see if they're doing the Baron.
Yeah, you have to check at that point, especially when it's just Odoamne.
Wow, he's saving mid as well once Baron is going down. Odoamne being a boss right now with that equalizer nicely across all the minions. His team comes up with Baron, and INTZ is none the wiser until everything happens.
It feels like a lot of pressure was actually there onto H2K early, but they find their strengths, hit a stride, and then they just start looking extremely clean, honestly, at this stage.
And this was one of the stages of the game that was the worst for them historically, where this is where they would fumble. The laning phase was something that they always excelled at. And right now, with Jankos, he was camped. Right now, H2K in a great position in this game. 26 minutes in with already a 7,000 gold lead and complete control of objectives so far.
Yang trying to get a shock blast in. The things that INTZ is kind of relegated to right now is also hurting them. They're not getting many of their own camps in their own jungle.
So you can see the lack of vision that INTZ have got here. Surprise, I'm super fast Olaf. That is actually pretty scary, of course. Revolta, fancy feet. You will see him use Proto Belt, flash to safety. And speaking of Revolta,
yeah, my favorite part of that play was he actually turned to the right to dodge the Cassiopeia ultimate, then went back to the left and repelled over.
Want to escape? Play Elise. Apparently this world's. Just play Elise. Clock around 27 minutes now, and H2K has not stopped this momentum as they continue to push the ward line up. Now they are living in the top side of INTZ's jungle as they have just base minions to continue to farm, and that means they're sharing a lot of this farm as well.
They are. They're sharing a lot of this farm, but you know who isn't? That guy right there, Forgiven. Forgiven is up 70 CS right now, almost 80. His call already went off. He is up 4,000 gold over Macau. He is absolutely crushing at this game. 3 items, 3 rather expensive items too, to the 2.5 of Macau. And Forgiven is just absolutely taking over this game right now on the Sivert.
I mean, the only breakpoint remaining for H2K is actually level 16. They're all close to that point. They're still able to brute force their way through INTZ's base. Once they get 16, it's even scarier.
Yang trying to run this one back. He has Odoamne in the top side, or the bottom side, I should say, and H2K can do this in a 4-1, not hurting them to keep it that way. Inhibitor may not be this time around, but they are opening up the base everywhere here on INTZ.
And I mean, the availability of strategy also. Use Forgiven Sivir ultimate, run away. It gives you the move speed. If they want to re-engage, they've actually got a Righteous Glory from an Olaf to go back forwards. It's actually very clever at the moment in the way they're using their spells and putting them together well.
Righteous Glory is always a little bit risky to buy because it doesn't have any resistances on it, but it's also very punching. Oh, okay, so he goes over to the Bard to get through on the Magical Journey. Just so much pressure from this squad. Rather short cooldown as well on the Righteous Glory, but hold on.
This just doesn't feel like a good idea.
Portabelt to get into range. Jocker's very low. That's going to be... Oh, he turns around for the play. You can't push him away. Undertow, he hits him with a big ham across the head. And now they're going to be going on the inhibitors inside the base. It has just been H2K hitting the gas every time they see a member of INTZ.
And Odo's stopping recall.
And there's, yeah, he's still going for Odoamne throughout the fight. The Nexus turrets are dropping here. And H2K are definitely going to try to end it. On the hunt goes down. All they have to do is focus on these Nexus turrets. A good hit coming in from Revolta, but it's not enough. He gets back onto the ground. Forgiven stays alive. Ooh, the boomerang isn't going to take Macau down, but it will start to drop the last Nexus turret. 16-4, 29 minutes in. H2K take down INTZ.
And H2K lock in a quarterfinal spot for themselves.
very clean stuff from H2K when they hit that mid game. It feels like this team ramps up slowly, but once they hit a point, it just goes off.